of the Public Safety Commission. Today is January 23rd, 2025. Can I get a roll call?
Commissioner Carmichael.
Here.
Commissioner Gupta is absent and has resigned. Commissioner Gall. Here. Commissioner Kleinbaum is absent. Commissioner Escontrias. Present. Commissioner Skiba.
Present.
And Commissioner Wodnicki is absent.
All right, let's all stand and salute the flag. 3, 2, 1. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Awesome. Can I get a motion to approve the order of agenda? Before we do that, I want to give a little background. So since we have guests, well, the agenda is supposed to go, A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, right? Since we have guests, I would recommend that we move J1 ahead of I, so we can tackle that. Other than that, I don't have a recommendation, so. I'm going to make a motion to move J1 ahead of I in changing the order of agenda.
So moved.
Any other thoughts before we vote? Good, okay. Kyle? All in
Is
favor?
there a second?
I thought you did second it, yeah.
Commissioner Gall,
I did.
Commissioner Carmichael. Oh, no, Commissioner Gall moves. We need a second.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved to, you said above I.
Correct.
All right, we will proceed with J1 after H. 1. Oh, look at that. Hold on one second. Oops, sorry. All by myself.
I love it. I'm going to make another motion, and I'll give context as well. We table or continue item I1. City manager has reached out and said that he may pop by either in February or March to be the person to address that one.
I second it.
Oh, I need a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
What was the motion? Sorry.
To table or continue item I1. Since city
Oh, okay.
manager will be here either February or March, or committed to February or March, and you're working on nailing down which.
Yeah, okay.
Moved and seconded.
No, yeah, I'm
Okay.
gotcha. I don't have to move anything, so you're.
You don't have to say all those in favor.
Oh, I'll take the vote, yes.
Yes.
Uh,
Moved, seconded.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? So I1 will be continued to the next agenda.
Correct. All right. Any blue folder items? Oh, I'm sorry. Are you
No.
ready? Are you ready?
No,
Okay.
and I do see your, now that I'm looking at my email, I see it, and I'll include it on or EJ5. What's J5 now? I'll add it on next,
Thank you.
in the next meeting.
Let me know when you're ready.
You can proceed.
All right. Item F, motion to approve the consent calendar, affidavit of posting.
So moved.
What is that?
Item F1, affidavit of posting.
What is it?
Oh, it's
Motion to approve.
it was posting that this meeting is happening tonight.
Oh, okay.
It's posted out there.
Oh, okay. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, yeah, okay.
Was there a second?
I did.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consent calendar approved.
All right. No excluded consent calendar items, so we'll move to item H. This is for public participation on non-agenda items. Anyone from the public come to the podium, address the commission. We're going to do this for a total of 30 minutes in 3-minute increments. Anyone from the public want to come to the podium and speak on non-agenda items?
Chair,
Anyone?
can I make a comment?
Yes.
We have a large number of people here, so if we have a motion to extend, we should consider the remaining people speaking.
100%.
Thank you, sir.
I think we're probably going to be good, though. Anyone online?
Might be okay.
Yeah.
Yes, hold on one second.
And this is public
Yes,
participation for
so-
non-agenda items. I just want to make sure that that person, that,
There is an attendee,
Mhm.
and I believe I'm gonna push allow to talk. You're on, I have you on J1, John.
Yeah, I just want to, this is not agenda,
Oh, okay. Yeah, go ahead.
well, this is like my, hi, John Persland, District 1, PV Boulevard and Prospect Avenue. I just want to thank you guys. This is my 7th visit, I think. Thanks for the efforts you guys are putting forward to move the agenda item forward, and the presentation is excellent. The work you've done is excellent, very detailed. So thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Can you email that to us all as well, like 15 or 20 emails? That'd be great.
No clarifying questions?
No clarifying questions.
Thanks, sir.
All right. Anyone online?
Yes, there's someone online raising their hand via Zoom. So I believe I'm push allow to talk, and then they speak, and everyone can hear it.
All right. Caller.
Never done this before, so
This is great.
hopefully that's how it works. All right.
What's her name?
Hello, this is Grace Peng.
Here we go.
Oh, Grace. Hey, Grace.
Yeah, I just wanted,
Oops,
I
oops.
forgot, I did not send my letter before this meeting, and I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate the safety improvements that were made on Grant. You know, the bulb out at McKay and Grant, where the park and the senior and teen center is, makes it so much easier and safer for me to cross Grant because it's a very wide boulevard. And I wish that, and I also appreciate the cameras that help make the light turn green for me, so I don't have to move my heavy e-bike up on the sidewalk to push the button to get a crossing signal. So I see that on McKay and I see that on Ringe. I'd love to see it on Kingsdale. I saw a horrible near accident where an SUV driver almost ran over 2 bicyclists at Kingsdale when they were on their phone and they weren't paying attention to what was in front of them. And I also had issues trying to cross over Grant on the other side, on the aviation side. So I hope that those 2 intersections are next on your docket. And I also hope that you put more bulb outs in South Redondo Beach, because again, we have some very wide crossings all throughout the city. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public participation on non-agenda items?
Yes.
I did it on purpose. Mhm. Oh, no, it's fine. We've got 30 minutes. It's fine, it's fine.
Sorry, got a teenager with finals at the high school, 2 AP tests tomorrow. Good evening, and it's so lovely to see this commission here in person, and thank you for your service. My husband served on the Historic Commission, my late husband, and thoroughly loved it for years. My name is Melissa Deshawn. I'm a nearly 30-year District 1 resident, and I'm here tonight to urge you to take a look at this packet of data that I'm going to leave and review the data on cannabis, what's going on in the industry, what's going on from a public health perspective, and put this on your agenda to study. Currently, California is a high-potency THC market, does not bode well for our youth. I got involved in this when our District 1 council member and a current school board member asked me to be the rebuttal to Measure E. which would have allowed 3+ cannabis dispensaries in our city, led by Elliot Lewis of Canada's Cannabis. A lot has changed since then, first of which is that 75% of our residents voted no overwhelmingly. They did not want retail cannabis in our city. In the interim, also, there have been a lot of changes to the industry. It's an unfairly taxed industry. It's triple taxed. So every resident or every operator ends up paying a triple tax. So the profit margins are slimmer and slimmer. Currently, the state is owed 3 years of back taxes from cannabis, $1.3 billion. For me, I work in healthcare. I'm a scientist, and I also volunteer in education. Those tier 3 funds, which come from tax revenue, are for drug prevention and drug education. There are no funds at the state now. If you're an optimist, you hope that the governor's budget, as he says, is a surplus right now, includes funds for that. I work in healthcare, volunteer in education, and those are 2 pieces of the pie that are cut first, and they're cut hard. So I'm not optimistic about that. There's a scandal going on right now with the state's Department of Cannabis Control, whereby there is 0 safety testing. Really elegant investigative work has been done by the LA Times. It's been on the cover 4 times since June, with 2 more articles that are coming up. There's a failure of testing. They found that samples up and down the state are contaminated with pesticides well beyond the EPA levels, fentanyl, heavy metals, toxic things that should not be in anybody. From the youth perspective, I had the privilege of writing a statewide resolution on cannabis that over 10,000 members of the California State PTA voted upon and adopted in this past May of 2024. And I know from the peer-reviewed data, cannabis retail dispensaries normalize youth use. The data is irrefutable. There is no difference with regards to youth use for illegal cannabis dispensaries or legal. It normalizes cannabis use. It's dangerous for our youth, and I just urge you to take a look at this and put this on your agenda. Thank you so much, and also thank you for being here and doing this.
One sec. Motion to receive and file?
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. We don't want to get in trouble with the city clerk, so we gotta do everything right.
Oh, you want to? Oh, yeah, you just anywhere out of my space here.
Any other public participation on non-agenda items? Non-agenda items.
My name is Jim Mueller. I reside in District 5. And the way I see your commission is you are here to support the council and provide the council with information and strategies and other things to promote public safety. Now, I think the city attorney also plays a role in that, but I see the seat is empty, as it usually is when the people speak. The city attorney is elected by the voters, but he or she never shows up when the public is giving participation. I just want to make a note of that and make it a part of the public record. So as far as public safety is concerned, I think we have a big public safety issue that you can help with besides the streets and all that. So I want to show you a picture of a smoke shop that's on Artesia Boulevard. This is our main street in North Redondo Beach. You see the size of this sign in red lights. It can be seen from Hermosa, I'm told. Now, this is not only an eyesore on our street, it's not a fancy restaurant, it's not a theater, it's really a positive thing for our community. It's a drug dealing outfit. And this is a street where our children, our families, we would like them to walk there, but why should they? There are 6 smoke shops up and down Artesia Boulevard, and I'll show you another one. Right here. This is the green one. It's got a picture of Snoop Dogg on the side that 60,000 people traveling on Artesia Boulevard can see every single day. And they say, oh, Redondo Boulevard, North Redondo, Redondo Beach, that's where you get your drugs. That's where you go for your smoke shop stuff. And that's the image that we have because we've allowed this. And you, as the Public Safety Commission, can take this as a safety issue and provide the council with support to come up with strategies to keep this awful stuff off of our main street. Okay, and I urge you to do that. Thank you.
Just a quick note, that's Nipsey Hussle, not Snoop. Not that makes it any better. I just want to make sure, the record is clear. Any other public participation in non-agenda items? Feel free to come to the podium. I see we have some students. I'm just so excited. Hey, y'all. Hey. All right, with that, whoa,
I do have a couple e-comments.
okay.
Okay. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Sorry, those are in different parts.
No problem.
Apologies.
No worries, no worries. I figured
You
it
can proceed.
heavily J1, but,
I have one on J1
um,
and J4, just
Got it.
for note.
all right, moving to section I. We tabled I1.
Well, you're on J1 now.
I'm sorry, yes. We are on J1. We have members of the Public Works. Members of Public Works, not Commission, just members of Public Works. So we'll defer to them on timing and how you want to proceed. Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Andy Wingy. I'm the Public Works Director for the City of Redondo Beach, and I have with me tonight our Principal Traffic Engineer, Transportation Engineer, Ryan Liu. We've been invited here tonight to speak to you about a specific issue of truck routes in the Palos Verdes Boulevard, Prospect Avenue corridors, and more broadly about general traffic calming and traffic safety measures that we have in our toolkit that we can implement to address speeding and stop compliance and other things like that. So we will be giving a short presentation on those topics, and we'll do our best to kind of answer questions related to those topics tonight. I'd like to hand it over to Ryan, who will be doing the presentation for you.
Good evening, Public Safety Commission. Officer Kyle, could you switch to slides?
Oh, yes.
Great. So we're here to discuss Palos Verdes Boulevard and Prospect Avenue, truck routes, traffic safety and calming, and bicycle lanes. Just to note that this agenda item discusses two separate topics along this area. There's regional and local truck routes, which is sort of one topic, and traffic safety, traffic calming, which is another topic. We consider them to be two separate issues, not mutually exclusive. For example, a street could be not a truck route, but could experience unsafe conditions or vice versa. So we're going to talk about those two topics separately. There's a third topic, bicycle lanes instead of parking on Palos Verdes Boulevard between PCH and South Irena. That will be discussed at the Public Works and Sustainability Commission next Monday, the 27th, per City Council direction. As additional background information, the city has already approved and we are imminently striping Class 2 striped bicycle lanes on Palos Verdes PV Boulevard between Irena and the eastern border of Torrance. So you can see in this graphic down here, that's what those bike lanes look like. Will be striped pretty soon. We also discussed truck routes at the Public Works and Sustainability Commission in March of 2024. Just some background about truck routes. The base of it is that we have incompatible truck routes at the city border. And we also know that PV Boulevard is the only street serving the entire western half of the PV Peninsula. The next street over that allows you access into the hill is Hawthorne Boulevard. Regarding truck routes, California Vehicle Code regulates truck routes. 35701 allows local cities to regulate truck routes, such as no trucks over 3 tons or a certain weight limit depending on local conditions. However, CVC 35703 states that trucks are allowed to travel on streets that are, no trucks allowed if they have business or deliveries, if that destination is on that restricted street or near that route. So for example, someone who's getting a sofa delivered or home renovations or a car delivered and their street, they live on a residential street, that person driving the truck is allowed to travel on streets that are not truck routes to reach that destination. One of the issues is that Palos Verdes Boulevard is a truck route in Torrance. PV Boulevard is in Torrance, southwest of PCH in Torrance, and northeast of Prospect, also in Torrance. It has been very difficult to enforce Redondo's an effective truck ban on PV Boulevard because it's not designated as a truck route in Redondo Beach. There is no legal method for a truck to make a U-turn at the city border because there's no space to do that. So a person driving a truck in the city of Torrance, they're legally on a truck route, but once they reach the city border, they're suddenly not on a truck route. So that type of violation is very difficult to enforce based on information provided by the police department. Public Works staff at Redondo and Torrance discussed this issue to see if there was any resolution to changing those truck routes. Those discussions were had in 2023 and 2024, but at this time there was no interest from the staff at Torrance to change those truck routes, those dead-end truck routes. I'll have a map on the next slide. So we discussed all these issues at last year's Public Works Commission. They recommended that the city manager and city council work with their counterparts in Torrance to resolve those truck route issues and to install additional signage where feasible. So those discussions are ongoing right now. This map here shows the truck routes around our region. Highlighted in white here is the city of Redondo Beach. Here's Torrance, sort of up, but it's looking towards the east, and then various cities on the PV Peninsula. So you can see here, Palos Verdes Boulevard is basically a gap in the truck route network, whereas it is a truck route in the city of Torrance. We also have the same problem at Sepulveda, which turns into Camino Real, a truck route that becomes not a truck route, and the same at Del Amo Boulevard, which becomes Del Amo Street. So this is where Prospect is, and basically anyone who's driving a truck is legally allowed on these streets and suddenly not allowed to be on the streets once they enter city limits. This purple line to the left over here is 190th Street. As many know, there's a big hill near Flagler, so we do have a conditional truck weight limit on that street, no trucks over 10 tons. And so we have ample signage for truck drivers going westbound on 190th. They are warned that they have to turn left on Anza if their truck is over 10,000 pounds. You can see here the various truck routes on the peninsula that Palos Verdes Boulevard is the only truck route heading into the city of Palos Verdes Estates. And generally, trucks that are headed into RPV or Rolling Hills Estates or the unincorporated areas generally use Hawthorne Boulevard. As you can see here in the city of Torrance, right at the intersection of Sepulveda and PV Boulevard, there is a sign showing that the trucks can keep going forward or turn left, but once they reach the city border, then they're kind of out of luck. Here's just some general navigation routing that shows, this may be different from what truck drivers see, but it just goes to show that, Palos Verdes Boulevard in the city is definitely a favored route for anyone coming from a more regional destination to, say, a destination like Palos Verdes High School. Since the Public Works Commission meeting, we've installed additional truck signage where we consider it feasible for enforcement and legality. So that's, prohibiting trucks over 3 tons from entering Prospect north of PCH, and 2 no trucks over 3 tons on Palos Verdes Boulevard, just right in front of that Legato development, just past PCH. The reasoning behind that is that a trucker on Palos Verdes Boulevard exiting the peninsula has a chance to turn left or right onto PCH. So we felt like it was appropriate to put those signs there. We also got special permission from the city of Torrance to put a truck route directional signage to tell them to turn left or right at PCH. Those poles on PVB are in the city of Torrance, so we've got permission from them to install that sign. And in general, with all traffic signs, we have to conform to state and federal laws and standards, so we can't just put up any color sign or any size or message that we want. Everything has to conform to state and federal laws. So we've gotten requests to install very large signs and things like that, but we have to work within the tools that are available to us. So that's the truck route issue. The other thing we want to discuss is general traffic calming and traffic safety. In the Public Works Department, we offer a variety of traffic calming and safety tools to address resident concerns. Traditionally, this whole paradigm revolves around engineering, enforcement, and education, where the design of the streets, coupled with education and enforcement by the police department, is to help create a safe transportation system for everybody. Once we get traffic calming requests, we analyze existing conditions, collect data, sometimes there's traffic data, speed data, and then we propose various countermeasures to address those issues. A lot of more recent state and federal approaches to safety center around multiple layers of protection. First, to prevent crashes, minimize harm when crashes do occur, and to focus on the infrastructure that might influence these types of driving behaviors. So generally, what the goal is a speed reduction to reduce the number and severity of crashes, and also post-crash care when crashes do happen, trying to get emergency responders to those scenes as quickly as possible. All traffic calming measures are subject to technical feasibility. What are the characteristics of the roadways, the legal designation in the city's circulation element, what the potential funding issues might be, and if city council approval is necessary or not. So just as for information, Prospect and PVB are both secondary arterials in the city's circulation element. That means that they're designed to carry a higher number of vehicles. And so, although not all of those streets might carry that many vehicles. We've heard a lot of requests for traffic calming and traffic safety countermeasures along these two streets. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that can be done because these are secondary arterials. We've listed 4 traffic calming measures that could be appropriate, but there are a lot of caveats and requirements that have to be met before any of these are deemed feasible. Such as roundabouts. We've heard requests for roundabouts in this area, and with the current number of lanes of these two streets, a multi-lane roundabout simply would not fit at that intersection. We also are, pretty cautious about multi-lane roundabouts because of the lane changes that are required within a roundabout. The only way a roundabout could fit at this intersection would be a single lane roundabout. And another traffic calming measure could be a lane reduction, sometimes known as a road diet. Those tend to be very controversial in the community, and these types of, traffic calming and traffic safety measures require very extensive study and broad community support before, anything like that is proposed or recommended. Other traffic calming measures include curb extensions at the intersection of PV Boulevard and Prospect. Those will slow right turns down, perhaps reduce the crossing distance for pedestrians, and also shorten the amount of time that the crosswalk needs to run. But things like this do require, funding, city council approval, design, and it does take away the ability for drivers to bypass through lanes to make right turns. So a lot of these, traffic calming measures are trade-offs. A fourth traffic calming measure could be arterial speed tables. We've never implemented these in the city, but we are testing one on Flagler in front of Dominguez Park pretty soon. But we have seen the city of LA implement arterial speed tables on streets with 30 to 35 mile per hour speed limits. These types of measures will require fire department approval, as they may impact emergency response times depending on how they're designed. But those are all things that can be considered, and subject to further study. Here's some pictures of those various measures, such as lane reductions in terms of reducing conflict points, arterial speed tables in the city of LA, and curb extensions at intersections. And that concludes my presentation, and happy to answer any questions.
Do we start up here or out there first?
I don't know.
We'll start up here. All right. Thank you. Fantastic. Very detailed, very specific. And I received several lists of, hey, what if we try this? So I'm glad to see those up there. Skiba, sorry. Commissioner Skiba, you want to go first?
All right, the speed tables, are these actually raised, are they elevated above the pavement, or are they just painted on?
These are asphalt speed tables, so it's a combination of asphalt and striping. So I believe the city of LA, on some 30 and 35 mile per hour streets, they were experiencing significant speeding issues. They were able to design these sort of shallow speed bumps that are designed for higher speed streets that can help moderate the speeds to a more desirable level.
Somebody told me they were in Torrance yesterday or today, in some area near Cali Mayor, and they said it looked like there was a raised thing, and when she got close to it, it actually was flat, but it was painted.
Was it like an optical illusion?
Yes.
Yes, so that's a pretty unique type of traffic calming. I would say, we don't have anything like that here. I do know that the city of Torrance does not allow any speed humps or speed cushions of any kind. And one of the drawbacks about these optical illusions is that the regulars on those streets, they will get used to it, and they will start ignoring it. And that can be to the detriment of other locations that might actually have a speed hump, they might think it's an illusion, go full speed and hit it. So I think at this time, we prefer to put things in a truthful light.
Thank you.
Commissioner Escotria?
Yes. Thank you, sir. I do have a couple of concerns. One concern is especially for the people that have been concerned about this issue as to why it's been taken over a year before we're addressing this issue, and that we've had several accidents there as well as other issues. But I just want to make sure I bring that out. So I understand you're an analyst, sir?
Me?
No.
I'm the city's traffic engineer.
Okay, but in essence, you take the information and you analyze it, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Had you had were able to analyze the traffic survey that was done by the police department concerning that intersection?
No, that was something that was performed by the police department.
I'm sorry?
No, I did not.
And they did not provide that to you?
They provided that to me, but it was already finalized. I think that they ran a stealth stat survey.
Yes.
And so those are typically handled just solely by the police department.
But if you're going to conduct analysis, would you not be able to look at all the different facts and factors involved in that search in order to be able to give a finding?
Yes, I could use that data along with other data collection tools. But as I mentioned, any traffic calming or safety measures surrounding arterial streets, we will need to hire a consultant, get funding from the city council to do a comprehensive corridor study.
But even a measured study, would it not be advisable that you would look at that, or someone to look at that, to be able to at least determine whether or not you do need a more comprehensive type of analysis?
So it's a bit of a leading question there, and I'll say the police department has their process and their use of stealth stat information. Yeah, and I think they provided their process. They did not share that with us prior to delivering it through their process in the ways that they were asked to do so. So we could certainly look at that data, and in the future, it wouldn't be the kind of data alone that we would use to analyze a full corridor. We would do much more extensive study.
Yeah, I would agree, sir, but I actually, for clarification as well, that was not provided to us either. Okay, we requested it and was told that there was not to be provided to us. Fortunately, a citizen had to go through the open records and they received it. And I understand that it is not on its own, but I would believe that it would be with other factors involved in that. Okay, my second question would be, have you been out to that location at all, sir?
Yes, we are out there all the time.
Okay, all the time.
So because you may be aware, during the holidays, we close Avenue H at the city border.
Yes, sir.
We did a lot of analysis down there, so I was passing by that intersection
Right,
on
good.
a
Yeah,
weekly, almost daily basis.
Right, okay, and the speed tables that you referred to before the city of Los Angeles, have you seen or did you ever utilize those, sir?
Yes, I have, on Temple Street, South Broadway, and in Playa Vista as well.
Okay, because I was on one today on Riverside Drive, and I don't think I would even go to less than 5 miles below than what I've done before. So I'm just kind of curious as how, maybe I think the terrain also has a lot to do with it as well, that if you're driving maybe a half a mile and they come up, it doesn't matter as opposed to a Temple Street, others like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's just something, we actually have a report from the city of LA, and I believe we have we know some staff who work at the LADOT, and they provided some helpful information for us. They showed us that they were able to achieve pretty substantial speed reductions with these speed tables. But I do want to caution that because only the city of LA has done it, we would want to approach this, with caution and with a lot of thorough study, because we have not implemented anything like this here before.
I would entirely agree with you, sir, yes. Okay. The other factor I would look at is I know that there's the mitigation of if you want to, the speeds in that area, but I think the prioritization comes in as to the safety of our community. And I know you mentioned before is that it's difficult that when they're coming into the city of somehow of enforcement. Okay, I believe that is a police department issue, but if it does require enforcement and it's inconvenient to the trucks, that somehow I think the safety of our community is a lot greater than an inconvenience.
So I believe we've heard from the city prosecutor that they're not going to be prosecuting these types of truck route violations because they are legally following the law in the city of Torrance.
Until they get to
until they get to the border, and
And
then suddenly they are not in compliance, and that could be considered a trap.
I think, obviously, again, that would probably be up to whether it's a speed trap or not. However, that may or may not be mitigated as well. But I would look at the point of view is that the prioritization is of that. Because in speaking to some of the community members, I understand the aspect that trucks are going and they're delivering and stuff. But my understanding, because I live in the area, that when a truck is hauling 15 brand new cars through there, has no business being there at all. That I think was a little bit different than, say, for example, somebody who's going to Ralph's or anything else like that. But okay, thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Gall?
Thank you, Chair.
Absolutely.
Thank you for the presentation. I was just curious, since this is the first time, I think in 7 years, I've had traffic engineering in the meeting. Going to small schools like UCSD and UC Irvine, I see pedestrian walkways, bridges going over the street. So I'm curious, with Torrance, you have South High and you have a student walkway. Why hasn't anybody put that on the list of considerations for Prospect?
Cost, probably. I think cost is a primary concern with pedestrian bridges. Nowadays, if we install them, we have to install elevators as well to build and maintain. And, some pedestrians may not want to use, go up and over and around. They might still want to cross at street level.
How much does it cost?
We don't have any data on that. We haven't ever studied that. We could find an answer and send it back through your liaison if you'd like us to.
How long have you been doing traffic engineering for?
About 8 years.
What would you estimate the ballpark range of a basic pedestrian bridge to a very substantial one? Would you say it's between $500,000 and the $2 million program, or what would your thoughts be?
Probably more than 10 at least, right?
More than 10
More than
million?
10 million.
I have no experience. I just
Yeah.
don't want to speculate.
Yeah, this is not something I've ever explored before. I think we don't see these around very often. So I haven't, personally in my years of experience encountered
Except for
this.
Torrance at South High.
And that's over Pacific Coast Highway, State Highway, probably built by Caltrans.
At a time when elevators weren't required and current standards.
Is there an elevator on that traffic or that pedestrian bridge?
It was probably built before that requirement. Yeah.
So it's required now.
For ADA.
Legal but
ADA.
non-conforming, right?
Would you say, what's the traffic flow difference between Prospect and PCH during school hours?
We don't have exact counts, but I can say that Prospect is not as busy.
No, I agree with you on that. I think we waste so much time deliberating over this stuff. I wonder if the benefit would outweigh the cost long-term. It seems that a lot of other cities with money put these in near universities, and I would imagine that those universities would be as densely populated as Redondo Beach. Redondo Beach population density is about the same as downtown Chicago. You probably have a pretty good tax base, so it would be just one thought that I had. The other question I had, and thank you for answering. I have heard exchanges that Torrance city officials are not receptive to communications from Redondo Beach council members and staff. Would you agree or disagree? Based on your presentation here, I feel that there is pretty good receptivity, but I want to know if you're being ignored when you're reaching out for calls to clarify these types of communications.
I'll answer that one. I was involved in a meeting with the City of Torrance Public Works staff 2 years ago. I was city engineer at the time. My boss, the Public Works Director, and I met with our opposite numbers there. 2 hours probably explaining. It didn't take them long to see the problem, but 2 hours trying to persuade them that this would be a good idea to pursue. And at the end of the day, their comment was there was no political will in their city to address this. So they weren't going to move it forward. Since that time, since our Public Works Commission meeting last March, we've taken their recommendation to our city manager, who had indicated he would make arrangements with his opposite number there to have the conversation. That has happened. He gave me direction after that meeting to reach out and try and set a meeting again with the Public Works Director there, with the police chief, and their city manager and the counterparts here to continue the conversation about solutions. So we are getting some receptivity now. It's been slow. I have heard other stories on the political level. I think the council member from District 1 is here, and if he chooses to share that story, I'll let him. But yeah, that's what I know.
The receptivity between the police departments is really good with the street racing that they took care of right before Christmas over at the Galleria. So I thank the police staff for that, both in Torrance and Redondo Beach. But would there ever be a precedent of issuing a claim letter to Torrance Legal Department saying, hey, you're ignoring me, you know, we need to talk about these commercial signages, and if you don't, I take you to court, or would that be laughable?
That's out of my area of expertise. I couldn't comment on that.
Copy that.
I think we try to collaborate with them where we can.
Good.
'Cause sometimes we need them, sometimes they need us, so we put our best foot forward.
Great. And one final question, and thank you for that, and I agree with you. What would it take to, maybe I should ask the police this, but just better enforcement and picking and choosing who we find coming through. It sounds like we don't want to enforce this at all. And I don't know where you can get involved and where the police can get involved in actually finding trucks that are going down Prospect and kind of dissuading them from coming through, because it's probably the same old offenders every time. Like you mentioned about the cars coming through doing their deliveries. I mean, that's probably the same offender all the time. But that would be my question for police, maybe in a later part of the meeting. But I just want to say thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks. I think, Commissioner Skiba.
Thank you. First off, I really love your presentation. The visuals are awesome. And just wondering, I know you said they won't be able to find or, cite these guys on that one strip. But what about if they're citing them for weight violations? Because that would be an important thing.
So I'll let the police department answer. It's a very complicated thing, actually. I learned a lot.
Chicken.
All right, great. Yes, so we have had the CHP come out.
I'm sorry, can you state your name?
I'm sorry, Brian Long with the police department. We've had the CHP come out 3 different times, and they have specific equipment that we don't have. So anytime you're gonna do a vehicle inspection on these trucks, you're gonna need to have certifications, and the CHP has those, and we've collaborated with them over 3 times out on PB Boulevard, and we've done enforcement with them 3 times over the last year.
Thank you. Any other questions from the dais? All right, we'll open it up to the public. Do we have anyone online, Officer Lofstrom?
There's
That are raising their hands?
speaking request
Okay.
and an e-comment.
All right, let's start online and then we'll work the room.
Dang it. I broke it. There we go.
Sorry, what you said?
Start on
e-comment?
and then we'll work the room. Who's the person on Zoom?
No, the e-comment.
Oh, just e-com, okay.
Although our Zoom's speaker is raising their hand, it's your discretion what you
Zoom
want to do
speaker.
first.
Zoom speaker.
Zoom?
Please, thank you.
Hi, this is Grace. Pang again. I wanted to support putting in concrete protected bike lanes on Palos Verdes Boulevard and Camino Real and Prospect, because those are the ones where those are very wide streets and with wide lanes, and people are speeding. And researchers in multiple cities have shown that when you put in concrete protected bike lanes, it makes all modes safer because it forces a motorist to drive more slowly. And even though we can't forbid trucks from going from Torrance and continuing through Redondo Beach, we can make it a little bit narrow and uncomfortable for them. So maybe discourage them from going through our city and finding some other way if that's possible for them. But it really helps us it saves lives and encourages people to bike and walk more. It really causes cars to slow down And when cars are slower, there's less tire noise. So that means that the road noise will be decreased, which will improve the quality of life for the people who live near those streets. I think that, and it would also allow wheelchair users with the motorized wheelchairs to zip along and be safe, because there's so many driveway curb cutouts. If they had a protected bike lane, I think our wheelchair users would have a lot more mobility and independence if they had a network of protected bike lanes. Thank you.
Sorry.
No, no worries. All right. Any member in the room want to come to the podium and?
I do have a written request to speak from John Persson.
Surprise.
Hi, John Persson again. District 1. Trucks, since the meeting in March of last year that we went to, it's been 300, Monday it'll be 306 days. Some of us have done studies about how many trucks come through that corridor. There were over 30,000 trucks that came by since that date. Those trucks probably put 500,000 tons of weight onto our infrastructure. The trucks are coming through that corridor, left and right, coming through the intersections, tractor trailers. They're going through stop signs. Last week we had these big, huge dump trucks come through. I don't know where they were going. I captured one on video going through the red light. He wasn't even close. The light was red and he just went right through it at that intersection. That's a school crossing as we talk. There's people pushing their baby carriages, people walking their dogs. They're a real safety hazard to our city. I said this afternoon that some people have views of the ocean. When they look out their window, I have a view of a tractor trailer sitting outside my window. I'm 30 feet from PV Boulevard. When they stop, they squeak like hell. It sounds like 15 nails going across a chalkboard. I think if you ask the residents, they would say to hell with Torrance, put a sign up, it's not a truck route at the border, and enforce it until they get the idea that it's not a truck route. The hell with it. As you enter PV Boulevard from PCH, there's two signs, not a truck route. That has nothing to do with Torrance. When you enter Prospect from PCH, has a sign up, not a truck route. That's not Torrance. I don't know why those can't be enforced. They have nothing to do with Torrance. That's probably pretty much it. Thank you.
Clarifying question, John.
We're in a discussion item. You can
I'm sorry?
speak to the speaker.
Okay.
It's just a clarifying question.
No, you can speak.
You can
to the
speak
speaker.
freely,
There's,
because this is a
I-
discussion, but
I want to
If it's-
ensure that the information that you have given, that you have proof of this, you can document this, you have seen this, and there's actually either written or video confirmation of what you are saying.
This afternoon, I had a 12 by 18 picture of the truck going through the red light. I had pictures of trucks lined up in a row. I've seen up to 3 trucks going down the street, one right after the other. I had a picture of 2 of them. I've got pictures of trucks, tractor trailer coming around the corner, another tractor trailer going this way, right at the intersection. And by the way, they come by at 4 in the morning, and they come by all hours of the day. At 6:15, there was a truck that came around the corner, fully loaded, because he was in 5th gear by the time he got by my house.
So, and I just wanted to make more for clarification for both the traffic personnel as well as for anyone else, is that this is not anecdotal gee whiz information, okay? That this has been based on over the past year or beyond that of you documentation, spreadsheets, video.
I don't have spreadsheets, but Tony and I did a study. We put a video camera up on the street, and we ran it from 7 in the morning to 6 at night. And in 4 days, all 4 days, we counted over 130 trucks come by.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to get, not only for the city, for everyone else, is that this is just not gee whiz information.
No, I put a camera, my garage is right on the corner, I can say I'm at ground zero. We get hit from Prospect, PCA, or PV Boulevard, no. I put a camera, video camera, it's a dash cam, put it on my roof of my garage. I'll run it from 7 until 6, and I spend 2 hours going through it, and what I'll do is do a screen grab of every time a truck comes by.
Right.
And then I put that together, I put it on a spreadsheet, and I send it to the traffic portal and say, 100 trucks came by today, and here's a proof sheet of them.
All right, thank you.
Uh-huh, yes.
Hi, John.
Thanks.
Hi there. I'm wondering, do you by any chance have a video or a picture of the day when that truck went rolling through the crosswalk with the crossing guard and the students there that Rolf Strutzenberg told us about on your last visit here?
If you give me the date, I may. I haven't gone through all of it. Sometimes I'll capture the
might.
video and I'll just store it on a hard drive
Okay.
and get through it whenever I have a chance. I did catch the head-on collision that happened a few weeks ago where the kid went crossed over, and I understand it was a medical condition, but and then there was an accident where a truck went through the red light and actually hit a car and demolished it. But that's a different issue.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, but just on his point, or a few points made, I have a clarifying question for the two of you, if you don't mind. You mentioned, I don't know, I'm trying to read without my glasses, sorry, hold on. You mentioned that the ordinance, it sort of gives permission if those trucks have business on that street. Does that mean at any point on that street? Or is it like, it needs to be between here and here? Because if their business is all the way over there, I don't, it's almost kind of like they're gaming the system, right? It's like, hey, the law says if I have it on this street, well, it's all the way down there. You could go around and go up. So just a point of clarification on that. Is it too broad? Is there something that we can look at, or we're leaving that there for the moment? Because that's like ordinance and we potentially have to talk to city council. So I'm just curious, it was quoted, so I was just curious as how we're reading it.
California Vehicle Code, that's not a city ordinance, it's a state statute. Interpretation of the law is an art more than a science, perhaps. And certainly the discretion of the officers to make their findings, and the discretion of the prosecuting attorney to believe that they have a case that will, reach a desired outcome there, all come into play. I think the way we see it as engineers is that in our city, there is no truck route on Palos Verdes Boulevard. And if you are leaving Torrance to go through our city to get to Torrance, you're probably in violation of what we intend to do. However, given the nature of the layout of the streets, there's not a practical and perhaps legally justifiable way to enforce that at the time. That's what I heard today from the police chief. And so that's, if you're asking me for my non-professional opinion, I guess, as a non-lawyer and a non-enforcer, that's how I would read it. Yeah.
Got it. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Any other members of the audience? By all means.
Hi, Melissa Deschamps, District 1. I'm so grateful that this is happening, and I'm so appreciative of everyone, all the residents who've come before you for not just this year. This has been an issue for years. I used to head a group for the walking school bus going from west of PCH, 30 kids, grades TK through 5th grade, to walk all the way up the avenues, Avenue F, and then cross at that very dangerous intersection where the crossing guard is to go down the street to Toledo. And it is terrifying, and it is still that way to this day. When you have those kids and you have vehicles that simply do not slow down enough, and there's so much traffic to begin with in the morning there, but that do not slow down, big trucks, it is terrifying. Walking school bus members wear bright yellow vests. We carry a giant sign with a bus on it so that people will stop, and that's not enough. So I'm grateful that this is happening. It's very, very dangerous, and those are school walking routes from multiple directions. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the audience? Oh. Wow. If you could state your name and, no.
Yeah, Niels Nierenheim, Councilmember District 1, also a resident on Avenue E and PV Boulevard right there. So just want to stop for a moment and thank you guys for having, like you said, actually, Commissioner Gall. This is the first time I think that the officers, public safety and public works has been together for an issue like this. And I made this motion back, I think it was December, I want to say. And the reason why was real simple. A lot of issues sometimes attack multiple departments, and this is a perfect example. of where you have silos in different areas. And the city has had issues in the past with silos just internally to begin with. And so this is an issue where you have a fine line between public safety and public works, right? I mean, is it a police officer issue or a traffic issue? And it's really both issues, right? So there was a great slide in here regarding engineering, education, and enforcement. A quick history on this. Mr. Perchlin came to me at my community meeting or email last August of last year, not this year, but last year, 2023. And we moved forward. It's a complicated problem. And yeah, to deal with the Torrance issue, I've made multiple requests via email, phone call, text to the council member in Torrance, Matucci. And I think one time I got an answer from him by surprise, and I heard him heard the other day that on Tuesday's council meeting that they're more than willing to give back the annexed land, which is the Hollywood Riviera 90277 District 0, back to Redondo. So maybe that's a great stepping stone leading in the conversation. So the three things that we're talking about here: education, enforcement, and engineering. You know, education can only go so far. We've done a lot of that. Signage is under education. The truck drivers will only listen so much. Mr. Perchlin has done letters. I think the city should go on with that as well when we do enforcement actions. But you know, that is a continuous effort, and it dies off after some time. The enforcement effort, Councilmember Lowenstein and I, you know, we've put a lot of money into a whole host of traffic issues, including the council last year, we put on 2 more police officers. That has resulted in 60% more citations since that happened. That's huge. And traffic citations. And I'm going to need a moment to extend if you don't mind.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
You know, there was a comment made, just so everyone knows, we had a meeting between the residents and staff today at 2:30. You know, it was a good meeting to have to get everyone on the same page to really understand the depths of an issue, right? And there was a comment made there and a comment made here about prosecution is not, city attorney's prosecution is not willing to prosecute. It's a good question to ask as to why and really delve into that, because if it's a signage issue, right, roadway issue, you know, which way on north-south on Prospect, or is it on PV Boulevard, right? And putting signs a whole bunch of different areas is important. Enforcement, we can enforce our ways out of this. We can add an officer on every single street corner, literally in one intersection, all 4 corners, but it won't be enough, right? It's just not gonna happen. So we've given a lot of resources to that. We're gonna continue to do that. I wanna thank the police department and the chief for doing that. But I wanna say this, budgets are pies and you divvy them up, somewhere else doesn't get it. So that leads to the last thing of engineering. This really is an engineering issue. So I'm looking at you guys to help make a recommendation for things like roadway improvements for radar signs and bollards, signage, bike lanes. You know, the Councilmember Lowenstein and I put in over $500,000 to the traffic safety program budget. That's just one fund alone, okay? And the last thing I'll say is, you know, one of the reasons why there's been some lack of understanding with what's going on is because of the reporting aspect. That falls under the education, that falls under the public. So what we talked today about in the meeting was getting some sort of reporting so the public knows how many citations are being given out, where, and for what, and for how much. It'll help you guys as well make decisions. So thanks again for your time. I appreciate it. And if you have any other further questions, I'll be here.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
May I?
Yes. Make sure your mic, we get dinged for that. Thank you.
I would have again, thank you for being here. Again, we've had discussions on this before, but I think my position on this is a little more of a hard line, in a sense that you mentioned that with the cities being silos. But what I believe has occurred the past year and a half is that we got into municipal paralysis, in a sense that since nothing can be done immediately, nothing was going to be done. Okay? The idea that has come up already was that the police department said, we can't be everywhere. So the philosophy then was, then we'll be nowhere. And in the meantime, other things have kind of gone on. So my concern is that yes, we can go back and we can educate and then enforce, but we can also, enforcement also can come as an educational tool as well, okay? Unfortunately, again, like other cities have put out there in that, you know, you do the carrot or the stick. And to the point of that, when people have been injured so far, it's actually kind of speaking for itself, is that people are basically asking for the stick, and whether we like it or not. And I get it that many departments will indicate that they're busy. It seems to me, in my personal opinion, that is the city's motto. We're too busy. But we're not going to be too busy when somebody gets killed. We've already had the gentleman who came in here before who got run over, the fire hydrant in front. I think sometimes what it takes is to actually reassess what the prioritizations are, okay? As far as understanding of when traffic enforcement is done, not just Monday through Friday from 5 to 4, okay? Or the fact that only traffic officers are the only ones who can issue citations. Everybody else can. And I'm speaking from personal experience as an officer of 40 years. Okay, I understand that, and again, I don't know the intricacies of the department, but I do understand that sometimes what it comes down to is, you know, when a community member is told, I'm doing you a favor coming out here writing tickets, is not something that we should be listening to or hearing. I get it, they cannot be everywhere, but it does understand is that at this point, we can study our way out of this, and to a certain degree, we can enforce our way out of this, with reassessing the prioritizations of the life of the people who live there. So, I mean, maybe that's more of a statement as opposed to anything else.
I agree. And if I may,
Yeah.
there are 3 E's that went into us reaching out to both sort of impacted departments: education, experience, and EQ, right? Emotional intelligence. We could be upset all we want, or we could like come to the table and just listen to each other. And I think to the point, you know, Commissioner Escontrias is making, our experience has not been great. Our experience with this issue has not been great, but I do think right now, this experience and the experience that you all had this afternoon at 2:30 is a step in the right direction. I think that we are closer to alignment.
Yes.
We are
Very much
way
so.
off from agreement,
Yes.
but we're definitely way closer to alignment. And to me, I think the 7 years, if you will, that's been, I like that space. And so now we have to, because I think there's going to be one more conversation about the bike lanes. How do we put all this together, right? And I think we have to sit in a space of the fine line between knowledge and wisdom, right? Knowledge is tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is not putting tomatoes in a fruit salad. So let's really like sit and marinate. We can have an eye on what was, but I'd love for us to sort of like chill out on where we are. So feel free to, you know, respond.
Yeah, no, you
but,
guys said a lot of things. I'm glad you just actually jumped in there. Give me a second to think about for a few seconds longer. I'm going to borrow a line from the city treasurer's office on Tuesday, who came down on Tuesday night, and that is hope is not a plan. So to that point, you know, I sat down with residents last December because after a long while, you know, when they first came to me, I was like, all right, let's go to the police department, let's do this, let's do that, right? And listen, I've spent a lot of time on this issue. I spent a lot of time on issues in the city. I can't be everywhere, can't do everything. And then it kindly just really got to a point where I needed to sit down with the residents. We spent probably, an hour and a half, 2 hours together, and we formulated a plan and came together to do something, right? And that's what you're seeing right now is happening. That's why I made this motion, and that's why we had this meeting today and moving forward. So I'm also big about process, right? It's all about process and creating a template. And if we can create a template here to solve this problem, and it's not critical in the sense that we have an accident every single day. It's critical that it needs to get done because something could happen, right? It's dangerous. We've had big issues there, short-term and long-term in the past. So it's about creating a template and a system so that we can look at the situation and say, this is how we solve the problem, worked with neighboring agencies, worked with multiple departments. Now we can carbon copy this and go to different parts of the city to move forward. So yeah, you're right, Commissioner Escondridis. Like it's been a long time, and sometimes it's a bit of a tough process. Sometimes we think it's going to be easy to just go do something and take care of it, and in this case, we can see that this really started off with speed and noise, and now we're at trucks and other issues, right? And we've uncovered. And I want to thank Mr. Perchlin for really finding out. Hey, I didn't know this was a truck, right? I live on that street too, right? And it's only so much the officers can do about that. And it's about signage of the agency next door. So it really comes down to helping to formulate a plan. That's what the ask for you guys here, and why we have Public Works here, is for you guys to send a letter of recommendations. I know Monday's too soon probably for you guys to get that to the Public Works, but to the council, you could definitely do. Maybe you can write an email. You have city email addresses. Write this to the Public Works Commission, send them an email, send them a note. This is what we talked about. This is how it carries over. This is why the bike lane is important. And please, by all means, make a motion to put this on the agenda at a later date at the Public Works Commission. That's a plan moving forward to solve this problem over the long term. I don't want to see our officers over there, 20 times a week or whatever it may be, giving out all these tickets. That's not solving the problem.
Oh,
right?
it does.
It's a temporary thing, right? I mean, you'll say yourself, I heard from the chief and other officers that putting it up a speed gun and doing a traffic helps for a few months or a few weeks, and then it goes back to normal, right? An engineering problem where you take the road and don't bring it from 2 lanes down to 1, but bring it to shorten those lanes up, make them smaller, and putting objects in the way for them to force people to slow down and not make them feel comfortable like it's a raceway, right? That helps the officers to not have to respond, and I mean, as the maker of the budget and seeing the resources, I don't want to have to spend all this time for our police department. They're expensive, right? And our Public Works is they've got well over 130 projects. We got 4 huge projects just handed to them, right? So we want to do what's efficient as possible. Again, create that template. You guys have that input so we can use that in other parts of the city.
I agree with you in many ways on that. The thing I would like to say then is I understand it. What kind of gets me a little more is the frustration of these people having to come in, because for a time there, although I believe that we have had a lot of progress, there has been progress, a lot of talking more so, and in communication, but they were hitting walls, and it was to a point of suddenly nobody wanted to listen because it wasn't affecting them. That is what I find out even more offensive than anything else, that they had to come in here and demand basic services that they pay for. That's all. But again, I'll acknowledge that we have.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll say this, we've all been on the same wavelength, really, I think. We're all been different phases, different parts of that wavelength at different points of time. I mean, honestly, Commissioner, it takes some time. City's a big city. We've got big city problems in a small little city. And I know you're shaking your head. I get it. I wish they wouldn't have had to go through the things like, when it comes to public records and a whole other issues along the way. I agree with you, but that's how we solve these systemic issues. When I got here in 2017, this city hall, this council chamber was completely different. It's been completely remade. So the process is different. Employees are different. We have new employees. We have new systems in place, and there's a lot moving forward. That's you can't forget. And a lot of good things have happened from this. So
you are appreciated.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate both. Thanks so much. And yes.
I'd like to add a little bit. The idea that the police department is ignoring the issue is false by a long shot. We provide a lot of services, and Tony or John, they will tell you that we're out there all the time, and we spend a lot of time there, a lot of time. We've written over 263 sites this last year, enforcing speed specifically and stop sign violations. So as a supervisor, I have to.
263.
263 for the whole year?
Wait, let him finish.
Just on that one, two block area.
Thank you.
Which is a lot of citations for one specific area. And that is to address the issue. And we're going to continue to address the issue, but it all comes down to manpower. Like, I have a finite amount of resources. I can't keep officers there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I just can't do it. I have a packet here with hotline complaints that go all over the city. And they're just as important to those residents as it is to Mr. Magani and John Persland. So I have to address all the issues, and I can't just focus on this one. And we do a really good job of doing it, and I beg you to ask them, because I think they'll agree with you that we are out there doing as much as we can. It's not enough for them, I get it, but it's also a balancing act for me and my personnel. But we are addressing it. So the idea that we're not, and we're just like ignoring them, that's false.
Well, okay, in response to that, sir, I do not imply that you were entirely ignoring them. Okay, I've spoken to both of them at length. I live in the area. I see that. Three of the commissioners have been out there and visited and spoke with them as well for periods of time. Again, I believe that for your edification is when this first started, for them coming to us, was again, the idea is we can't be everywhere. No, we're not going to do this. So again, you may not have been privileged to that or understand that, but the other, my conversations with them may be a little bit different. And so maybe that is why I have this tone and this, and I do well aware of deployment and understanding of how police resources can and may be deployed that are out there. But I think when people are told or when a citizen calls the reason, and part of the reason I'm saying this, I'm not necessarily ignored, but the information I have received was that when individuals have called requesting the dispatch of a unit, that nobody shows up.
And I can address that, because
Yes.
I've gotten those calls from Mr. Magana.
Right.
I have 5 geographical areas in the city as I was a watch commander, 3 assigned to the north end, 2 assigned to the south end. I have, and I've told Tony this many times, Tony, I will absolutely send people over there, time permitting. And I've sent people over there, and then they get pulled away for calls, because these are, they're handling 911 calls, other traffic accidents, so they can't just be designated to that. But they do go over there and they do write citations. But they may, and I tell them, and I've told them this again today, that just because you call and ask for a unit to come over there, it doesn't mean they're going to get there.
I fully understand that as well.
I just would like to add to the characterization of we can't be everywhere, so we're not going to do it, or we're going to be nowhere, has never been stated by the police department at any point. We've said that we have a finite amount of resources, so we cannot physically be everywhere, but that characterization was made by you,
Yes.
not by us.
Yes, and I will own that.
Okay, can we hold, can I hold? We have other
Well,
folks.
I
and-
think
wait,
we-
No,
if
no,
we-
no,
if we're
hold
having
on.
a discussion-
The chairs.
Yeah. The topic of J1 is discussion on Palos Verdes. It's not the response time of the police department. And not,
we're not discussing the response time.
And not an indictment on
Nor is this an
our
indictment.
whole. So the chair now recognizes Commissioner Skiba.
Thank you. Okay, on a recent occasion, I and another commissioner went to visit with John Pershilin and another one of the fellows, and there was a motor officer sort of hovering on Alberta, a little further back where there were some cars parked, but he was just kind of hovering like in that street. And a couple times he left and then returned. Is he there to observe and report, or is he there to actually do citations?
He's probably there to identify violations and write citations if he's in that area.
Yeah, okay,
Great.
fine, thank you.
Chair now recognizes Commissioner Gall.
I'll try to be brief, but Commissioner Skiba, thanks for the gum. You really solved the problem. And hopefully I can get over this cold.
This coughing fit, I don't know if you all noticed, you thought to die and we wouldn't have had a quorum. And I was like, no, you must live. So that's.
I'll try. We'll break for recess and I'll get some water. I wanted to ask Lieutenant Long, is it?
Yes.
I don't mean to be a one-up person with North Redondo Beach, but how many citations do you write per year, say between Blossom and Artesia and McKay and Artesia, where that lady was rear-ended and killed on Artesia by the Taco Bell as part of traffic enforcement for that area versus what you do?
You're on.
That's a good question, and I don't have those numbers, but that's something I could look into and get back to you.
Yeah, I'll ask, follow up with you and Councilmember Barron, just, I know the police can't be everywhere, but I would just ask as a commissioner to get equal distribution of resources both for North and South Redondo. Evidence being somebody being killed there. I know getting hit is awful, but getting killed is permanent. So I thank you for your attention to that matter. Thank you.
Any other comments within the scope of J1?
E-comments. I have two.
Oh, okay, we have one
Or
more.
public
now.
comments.
We have one more public comment.
Just state your name in the microphone for the minutes.
You can lift it up. There's a button on the right or to your button.
Yeah, good evening, commissioners. Oh, sweet.
I mean, it's just going to be super awkwardly slow.
You get it, right?
This won't cut into your 3 minutes.
Still not enough.
All right, hi everyone. Good evening, commissioners. My name is Liam Walsh. I'm a resident of District 5. I'm also a volunteer with the South Bay Bicycle Coalition. I want to applaud the work the city's been doing recently with building new bike lanes and traffic safety improvements through curb extensions and other things. This is a really great topic to talk about what more we can do on this really important corridor. Regarding speeding on Prospect, so I looked up collisions from 2019 through 2023. The most common factor, surprise, is speeding. So that confirms what we all know, but the data shows it. I agree with the whole 3 E's principle, and I think that with street safety, engineering is the most effective thing that can reduce the burden on our law enforcement. As we noted, there's finite resources, and we want to think about how can we permanently correct behavior and make safe environments for everyone to walk, bike, and drive. And I think this comes down to if we make our streets not look like highways, then people aren't going to drive like they're highways. So when you get up on Prospect, you got nice wide lanes, you got, 4 lanes to your left. You basically got, it feels like you're on, a freeway. So I think that there's a lot we can do by design with regards to lane narrowing, lane reduction, and implementation of protected bike lanes is something that one of the previous commenters mentioned, that when you help segregate the actual different speeds of traffic, so you have cars, bikes, pedestrians, you want everyone to basically have their own dedicated space to be in. You reduce the conflict zones. That's a really proven way to reduce collisions and overall lower speeding. So yeah, I encourage the city and the commission to look into this corridor study that was mentioned by Public Works. I think this is something we need to do. I think there's a lot of options, trade-offs. You could go from 5 car lanes to 3 lanes, put in protected bike lanes. You can trade street parking. I think there's a lot on the table worth looking into. And also, if we go from 5 to 3 lanes, you can have protected bike lanes and street parking and turn lanes. So I think that's pretty compelling, but we should definitely look at a full corridor study to see what makes sense there. Yeah, lastly, I'll just say that the Prospect is a really key north-south route on the east side of South Redondo, and there's really not a good way to bike around there. You have the Strand on the west side, you have a decent amount of east-west cross streets that we've got new bike lanes in, but when you get over towards Torrance, there's really no good way to get up and down, and we have a ton of schools there, a lot of pickup drop-off traffic, a lot of new popularity of e-bikes, which, that's another big thing. And I think if we lean,
All in favor?
Aye.
appreciate it. Yeah, so we have a lot of things happening, obviously, growing popularity of e-bikes. Last year at Redondo Union High School, the number of bikes on the campus doubled. So that's a pretty noteworthy trend. And I think a lot of our solutions to congestion, speeding, traffic are all about what we can do with engineering and design to help make this overall a safe space for everyone. So yeah, overall, thanks for your time and hope you pursue the corridor study. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room? All right.
I'll just, all right. Rob Schuler from District 1. I don't really have prepared remarks. I just want to say that I really appreciate the time the commission's taking here. It's great study. It was really interesting to learn about what the Public Works is up to. And I do appreciate the police working with the CHP to bring out what do you call it? Checking the truck check there. So I think that all helped. Obviously, enforcement resources are limited and we can only go so far with that. So I really just want to voice my strongest support for ongoing studies here, that we look at possible traffic calming along that route. And also that I know that I'm not as vocal as John and Tony are, but my neighbors over there have my full support. John's done an extraordinary job of really collecting a lot of data. And as was mentioned, it's not just anecdotal, it's really, there's reams of images and recordings and stuff. And so it's really really an impressive amount of data to back up our neighborhood's concerns. And lastly, that this isn't just a concern. I mentioned this a lot in my online comments, so you may have heard it if you've seen that, but it's not just a concern for those of us who live directly along the route. This is, it affects everybody around the neighborhood. There's children who cross from, they go to school who are on both sides of PV Boulevard as they walk towards, and Prospect as they walk to Toledo and home and stuff like that. And so it's really an issue that affects everyone around the neighborhood, not just really directly on the route. So thank you. Appreciate the effort and time you're putting into this.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. E-comments? 2, 1?
2 e-comments for J1. Mark Nelson. I believe there is a serious safety problem in this area. I recommend supporting the surrounding neighborhoods with strong enforcement protections, such as truck route signs, video enforcement, RBPD enforcement, and whatever other helpful measures you can recommend. I also recommend this be moved to the council in a manner that allows them to discuss and approve as soon as it can be docketed. Thank you for your local service to the community. Alex Feynman. I'm very happy to see this discussed and would love to see traffic calming measures installed, particularly on Prospect Avenue, since RUHS, Paris Middle School, and Toledo Elementary School are all on Prospect. And 2 other elementary schools are within a block or 2. Despite the heavy pedestrian and bicycle traffic around these schools, it is one of only 2 major north-south streets in South Redondo, and so is the second busiest north-south street. An unsafe situation for the students, parents, and staff at the schools. I strongly recommend bulb outs to slow turns that might endanger pedestrians, as well as protected bike lanes to facilitate safe, independent routes for children at RUHS and Paris. And so concludes the comments for J1.
Thank you for your time. My grandfather used to say the heaviest weight at any gym is the front door. I think that we've moved that forward, so appreciate it. Thanks for all the comments. Thank you as well. J2? No, I2. Let me know when you're ready, Kyle.
I1 was continued.
Correct. I'm going to make a motion to continue I2 as well, without Commissioner Wadnicki. I know she wanted to weigh in on the list. I would make a motion to continue it to February. I'm happy to be overruled, but that's where I am with I2.
Do we hear a motion to continue the discussion item to the next agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
All right. I don't see J2.
The Chief Reagan was unavailable. They have a lot going on, so.
No. I did want to make a plug here, though. My brother-in-law.
There is an e-comment for J2.
Okay.
Before you move on to the next.
Okay. I'm not moving on just yet. My brother-in-law was down here, part of the coalition LPFD Livermore, Pleasanton Fire Department. So I just want to give a shout out to Darren Flores. Thank you for your service. Appreciate it. All right.
Alex Feynman. I appreciate the commission's concern and discussion of the ongoing tragic fires in Los Angeles County and hope that RBFD's efforts to assist in the firefighting effort are acknowledged. The near-term impact on Redondo Beach from the fires is likely to be the sudden displacement of thousands of households, many of whom are seeking to rehome in the South Bay for the near future, if not permanently. Particularly given the fact that 45 to 50% of Redondo Beach households are renters, this has the potential to push out longtime Redondo residents as rental rates are raised to the maximum allowed by law and home prices are once again bid up far above asking. To address this surge of demand locally and regionally and to prevent neighbors from being priced out of their homes, I urge the commission as well as city council to support the waiver of any discretionary review and expedite permitting for new housing construction. Furthermore, in the long term, given Redondo Beach's low fire risk, we should further encourage infill housing in our area so that homes will not otherwise be built where wildfires are frequent and risk further loss of life and strain on the state's home insurance market. Thank you for your consideration.
All right. With that, J3. Discussion of crime, recap community policing
In addition
volunteers.
to what you see in the crime recap, I wanted to cover two incidents that I have press releases for. December 22nd. On December 22nd at approximately 5:11 a.m., officers from the Redondo Beach Police Department responded to a reported shooting in the 2700 block of Vanderbilt Lane. Upon arrival, officers located a victim suffering from a gunshot wound. The victim was transported to a local hospital for medical treatment and is reported to have sustained non-life-threatening injuries. Detectives are actively investigating the incident. Preliminary findings suggest that this was an isolated incident and there's no known ongoing threat to the public. The Redondo Beach Police Department urges anyone with information related to this case to contact the Detective Bureau at 310-379-2477, extension 3652. And there was additional follow-up. There's been recent activity on that case as well that I'm not permitted to discuss.
All right.
Search warrants.
I can just add that this Tuesday morning, we conducted 2 search warrants in relation to that shooting here in the city and recovered evidence. That's all I can say at this time, but it's an ongoing investigation.
Thank you.
And then additionally, December 28th, and this is an issue that's somewhat up and down, sometimes goes quiet. And then we'll pick up from time to time. Friday, December 27th, 2024 at approximately 8:30 p.m., personnel from the Redondo Beach Police Department were monitoring several vehicles that had gathered for a non-permitted car show in the Living Spaces parking lot located at 1519 Hawthorne Boulevard in the city of Redondo Beach. While officers were monitoring the group, they observed vehicles that were engaged in exhibitions of speed, performing burnouts in the parking lot, and participants igniting fireworks. Officers from the Redondo Beach Police Department and Torrance Police Department made several traffic enforcement stops during this time, which resulted in citations being issued and 2 vehicles being impounded. No arrests were made during the event. Due to the large number of people gathered for the event and to prevent the escalation of dangerous disturbances from the attendees, at approximately 11 p.m., officers from the Redondo Beach Police Department with the assistance from the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department Air Unit and Torrance Police Department ordered the car show attendees to disperse from the area. After approximately 30 minutes, all vehicles and attendees left the area without significant incident. Once the attendees were gone, officers discovered graffiti that is under investigation. And then I would like to go right into.
Could I ask a question on that one?
Sure, yeah.
Yes. What was your secret on learning how that was going to develop? Did the patrols just happen to be there, or was it?
So my experience has been that they get moved around, like where they choose to meet up is moved around because they get attention somewhere from local law enforcement, et cetera. So they won't be at the Galleria for a period of time, and then someone will be like, "Yeah, it's been a while since we've been there. Let's meet there." So our patrol officers are kind of already aware of the potential there and would do checks regularly. And then they probably noticed that and then took action in the form of a bigger plan that developed like a tactical approach that would be more effective and engaging a show of force, so to speak, in enforcement there.
Yeah, just reading about the Street Racing Kills NGO and just what happened with that on a separate topic with 70 miles an hour on Sepulveda, rear-ending another poor kid who passed away from early January. It's good that you take those little precautions if you see anything slightly out of normalcy and quash it. I really appreciate it and thank you for doing that.
Community policing report. Sometimes it gets a little quiet in the holidays. Obviously, we had our Let It Snow event, which I'd also like to continue to brag about, even though we've moved into January. It's a good event. We did a couple of station tours at the beginning of the January. I'm pleased to announce that we hosted our blood drive. I know I was trying to coerce many of you to donate blood. Our record with the Red Cross stood at 45 units collected in our local drive. And my goal was 66, and I got 65 and beat the record by 20. So I'm hoping that is enough to get first place in local drives for the Battle of the Badges.
You're not competitive at all.
We attended the Riviera Village Association meeting, as we regularly do once a month. Citizens Police Academy Class 51 begins on February 5th. We are having a new event. I believe this was in the last report, but I really want to hit it because it is new. We're in the spirit of Coffee with a Cop, we're doing a Cookies with Clinicians, where we are going to have a community engagement outreach event at KW Confections on North the Highway there next to the Carl's Jr. I believe it's 613. I don't have the exact address, but I can get it for you. There's a flyer now going up on our social media. And that is really just to do outreach with have people get to know the services we offer with our partnership with LA County Department of Mental Health. We want people to know what we're doing. We've been working with social workers for a long time. The Beach Cities has strong MET teams, and we are now in the outreach portion of that to familiarize people with that service in the realm of emergency care for mental health. We'll be doing a safety meeting. If you saw last time, we did one at the Redondo Women's Club, and that word got to the Hermosa Beach Women's Club, which contains sometimes residents of Redondo Beach and so on. So we'll be there doing another little safety talk. And then we're partnering with Keep the Esplanade Beautiful to do a pop-up Coffee with a Cop on Saturday, March 1st on the Esplanade. We're going to help clean up the Esplanade and then have Coffee with a Cop afterward. Our public safety open house, I can say, is officially going to be March 9th, 2025, and the law enforcement torch run in June. The final month of the year for our VIP report, the total ending the year was hours in the month of December were 274, and total for 3,796 hours for the year total.
And just so some of the public, VIP is our volunteers in policing.
Volunteers in policing, sorry.
No worries.
And I'm happy to field any questions for J3.
Looks like we're good.
All right.
We're creeping up on my bedtime, so. Oh, yes.
You can approach the dice.
If you could say your name, Mr. John Mueller,
Yes,
that would be.
Jim Mueller,
Jim Mueller.
District 5. Have you had a chance to investigate the smoke shops on Artesia Boulevard to see if they're selling any of the products that were made illegal on September 30th?
I can address that. Please. Yes, we are. We're looking into that. We have officers that have gone out there and done inspection in uniform, and we're going to do some more follow-up with other resources. But yes, that's ongoing right now. Which we are aware. If you're not aware that the new law came out where you can't have any THC. So there were products on the shelf with 0.03% THC. Those have since been banned as of January 1st. Officers did go in there and they did remove them. And we will be checking up with them in the near future.
Okay, were you also able to check some of the other outlets like Total Wine? I don't know if that's actually in Redondo Beach, but there are other outlets besides the ones who are designated smoke shops that also sell that type of product, like gas stations.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with any other locations that are selling them. We just specifically check the smoke shops.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Well, look at there. Lieutenant, you get to come to every single one of these. All right. Anyone online?
No.
No comment?
There is one for J4.
Right, I want to finish J3, so we're done with J, okay.
No, nothing for J3.
All right. Moving on to J4, discussion and possible action regarding advisory memo to City Council regarding truck route matter with the City of Torrance. I defer to Commissioner Gall.
Oh, gosh. That wasn't tabled.
We can, since we got a lot of information.
So Officer Lostrom, what do you think of the letter? And based on the conversation we had today with our traffic engineering and also with Councilmember Nierenheim, and overall our very positive relations most of the time with Torrance, if we should send the letter that I drafted over through the channels over to Torrance to let them know that we would like better communication.
Well, so the original item was for you guys to take advisory action to council to take that action with Torrance. I mean, I think the questions, like nearly all the questions were answered, so to speak. So if you guys deemed this unnecessary, then you would just proceed and then we wouldn't have it as a discussion item in the future.
I don't see it necessary to send the letter out to Torrance. I think the communication is a little bit spotty, but I think our Councilmember Nierenheim has indicated that he does get responses back, and the political will be it. We may not like it, but overall, given the raid on living spaces, I think we get the communication when we need it. I wish it could improve, but just for the record, that I would probably give the communication probably a C+, but I don't think we need to give a complaint letter to Torrance and complicate it. Your thoughts, Chair?
All right, Commissioner Escondrias?
I would have a tendency to agree. However, I would
With me?
Thank you.
But however, I would go with the caveat that we possibly just table this until possibly, I would have to say at a point in which we can determine that the city attorney's office will or will not be willing to pursue anything. Again, it becomes a moot point that if the officers are going to go out there and write citations and it's not going anywhere, or that because of the will of the people ask that to do that. So I would then venture to say is if we can just table this possibly until the April.
Correct.
Okay.
At which point then I would believe that the discussions between the entities that we met today would be able to possibly hash out more of the nuances that are there.
Yeah.
And then we would be able to go there. And then at which time we can also bring in the discussion with the city attorney, determine whether or not, if they are not viable to a discussion that illegal action may be taken.
All right.
May I second that motion if it's?
Well, I would say you just don't have to take action.
No, we won't.
I would say.
We will. We're motioning to table because we may still.
We're motion for tabling for that till April.
I don't know, so like,
We're
you
gonna
want
move
to
it to I.
continue it?
Yes.
Yes,
To the-
sorry, yes, we're gonna
I
move it to I.
second that motion.
We're gonna continue it to April.
To the next agenda, yeah,
No, to April.
to the April agenda.
To April.
Yeah.
Yeah, second that motion. We take a vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Get your taxes done first.
Any other discussion?
Any other discussion? Sorry.
All right, let me know when you're ready. Oh, go ahead.
I had a question.
Yeah.
It's not this, though. Are you going to present about the volunteers in policing this evening or another
No.
night, another time?
Not this
I'm
evening.
sorry, I don't have any. Did you have something on the volunteers?
I think I was-
No, he did and he didn't. The presentation that you want, we are going to kick next because
Okay.
we were like, we got the Public Works here,
You
so
actually
we didn't
see
want
the-
the meeting to be too long.
That's
So,
good, yeah, exactly.
great
Commissioner
question.
Skiba,
Sorry, I meant to say that.
The list is in K on the agenda.
Oh,
You can see, you'll see all the things we have
okay.
lined up.
Alrighty.
All right, you ready? J5?
Yes, you can
Okay.
proceed to the next item.
J5, sorry. Discussion of recent updates on enhanced response to homelessness. Just to give you all background, the cover letter, I was very specific. The last time, for background for the audience, but also for the commissioners, this topic used to be named update from city attorney, and they would come monthly and provide an update on the city's response to homelessness. The last time we heard from our city attorney was 11/20/2023. So we missed out on everything that happened from December 2023, all of 2024, and here we are in 2025. So I had my team go through every city council meeting and every public safety and all commission meetings to pull out any and all data around homelessness. We divided it into different topic areas, whether it be vendors, whether it be funding, whether it be our partners. And I think there's another couple. And so I don't know that we can have a full discussion because there's a lot of documentation to read through, but happy to discuss if there's anything that you see on there that you're like, hey, I need this, or hey, I'm missing that. So that way, when we approach the city attorney who's committed to coming back in March, that we will have, a meaningful dialogue, a meaningful conversation, and we'll be relatively on the same page because we'll be caught up. We'll know this is what they presented to city council about, how we're getting reports from CityNet and SBCOG, and here's who we paid to build out the pallet shelter. I believe you, Officer Lostrom, were supposed to get an update on pallet shelter Wi-Fi from Mike Cook.
Oh, I do have some information.
To-
Also, the former title was City Prosecutor's Office.
City prosecutor, yes.
You want to make that distinction, which is obviously a division of the city attorney's office.
So just wanted to catch you up.
Sorry.
Like we were, even though they were like, oh, we're not coming back, so we were given permission to change the title so we can still have access to the data.
Let's see.
And for those of you in the audience, if you go online and click on our agenda, you'll see different links. For this one, when you click on the link, you'll see all of the data that I just sort of discussed. So we broke it down to like, if we got money from HealthNet. So you'll see the letter from HealthNet saying, hey, here's $1.4 million in order to build out the pallet shelter. You'll see an invoice from pallet builders who put the pole for Wi-Fi at the pallet shelter. So you'll see all of that to catch you up as to where we were to where we are, current state. And then what we're going to do is invite the city attorney's office to come through with like, hey, we have a question about this. How did we find this vendor? Why did we use this vendor versus that vendor? How is this money spent? That sort of one of things. So it's much smaller or much compact than going, hey, tell me about what's going on with homeless. And they're like, okay, we could be here all night. So we want to make sure that we have as much information and our current month due, as it were. So that way when we have that conversation, it's fruitful and everyone is edified at the same time, much like what we did with Public Works. So yes, sorry.
So Mike Cook did have a note. Following the completion of the power in our testing, we discovered that I'm just going to read this from his perspective because it's going to be easier. So this is
Mike Cook, just so you know, is our director of IT. So this is probably going to be a little technical. It's going to be a lot of words.
Following the completion of the power in our testing, we did discover that we're going to need to order more hardware. So while at the time the status they have in the agenda, when he wrote it a couple weeks ago, he does need to make additional purchases to make one of the links work probably, and they're probably still on track for Q2 for
2025.
implementation.
Okay.
He said it's worth mentioning that the attached invoice may have to do with the power piece of the puzzle, which is from Public Works. But it's not one of IT's vendors. He hasn't made any purchases for the project yet. Most of the hardware was already on hand.
Got it. In less words, IT had a deliverable date of January 1st, 2025 to have Wi-Fi at the pallet shelter. So he's letting us know he missed that date. There are a couple other things that he has to do, but he may be able to get that up and running by Q2 2025. So that's April, May, or June.
My question would be, what does that have to do with the Public Safety Commission?
Well, it's not necessarily Public Safety Commission per se. It's under the umbrella of our enhanced response to homelessness. This is everything that we're doing.
Who's enhanced response? The cities?
The cities.
Or, okay.
So if
How
you
does that,
if you look at the attachments, that's why we send it like 3 days before. But to the spirit of your question, we missed a lot of because the city attorney's office, city prosecutor's office did not show up at all in 2024. So hold on, I'm answering your question. Hold on. So what? So there's different. Exactly. So there's different reports about here's how we phased out, here's the money that came in, and here's what it was meant for. So we're giving an accounting of all of the money that was spent and on what for. Here's the full project plan for the pallet shelter, and then here's the project plan for the additional 25 units that were to be in the pallet shelter, and here's what we're going to do with that space. Part of what we're going to do with that space was to make sure, was to provide Wi-Fi. So Mike Cook, and on the strategic plan for the city, it's one of the items under goal 1. Number 2 is pallet shelter Wi-Fi. So I'm just getting that update on that. And if you look on I-1, which we kind of punted because city manager won't be available for February or March, if he had come tonight, he would have sort of pulled it all together. So yeah.
may I ask a question?
Yeah. It's a discussion. So let's
I agree.
make sure you're to your mic so we can.
I agree with the understanding because of an oversight, if you will, oversight, because that was actually my understanding built in concerning the pallet shelter, that the Public Safety Commission would have been given periodic reports on that. Okay, it is actually, however, and I do also believe that there should be more audits that should be done. Okay. However, some of the nuances as well as the minutia of some of the pallet housing issues, I just wonder if we want to get too much into the weeds with that. Myself, I've been out there more than a few times.
Myself as well.
Okay, I've done work out there and provided stuff also as well as others. But I would venture to say is that I'm just kind of curious as to how much of this do we really want to get into from a standpoint of maybe requiring them to provide that to us as opposed to the Wi-Fi. I don't see.
And that's why this is a discussion. I'm going to answer your question in probably three parts. 1, that's why this is the discussion. 2, it's not necessarily what's of interest to us as a commission from a RACI, R-A-C-I perspective. R's responsibility, A is accountability, C, right? C is consult, and I is inform. That's what the commission is supposed to do. We are C and I, we are consult and inform. So when we make a letter to the city council, we have to have all of the minutia in order to be able to say, hey, why do we spend $750 on Wi-Fi for the pallet shelter? If that's a concern. If it's not, it's a FYI. So I don't know that we necessarily need to like hang our hat on, oh, there's Wi-Fi at the pallet shelter. It's we missed out on everything that we signed up to do because we didn't get a regular update from December 2023, all of 2024, and here we are in January 2025. So we're just playing catch up, but there's, like, if you look at there's way more than just the update on the pallet shelter. So I appreciate, I get it, but yeah, there's way more that occurred. Like, one of the things that we were hanging our hat on was that Harbor Interfaith was our person to provide reporting and whatnot, and that's not the case. So if you read some of the contract, we moved to CityNet, and we moved to a partnership with SBCOG, right? SBCOG. So like those are the more pressing sort of items, but it's just FYI. And we have young people, so I just want to make sure that, we don't get caught in so high level that we miss our entire community, which includes some of the young people.
I would understand that this is necessary. I think it's a lot of work. It does require a lot of work. And then going through this, as I will more than likely read everything on this. However, my concern would be, it would probably been a little easier, faster, and I believe more along the lines of protocol, is to possibly have staff prepare a letter to the city council and to say, this is what we are asking for. We want a audit of this, and we require that the city attorney do this and allow them to engage in that battle, if you will.
I would have to direct you to our handbook. We can't do that. Specifically pages 14, 35, and 43 of the commission handbook. So yes, I agree with you 100%, because I think this is ridiculous. And I had to have my team, my employees, pull all of this together. That said, there's several administrative reports and all of that pull what you're saying together. If I had a little bit more time, we probably would have done that, and we tried to do that with the cover sheet. But the no but, period, full stop, new sentence. What I was hoping that we would get, and not necessarily put a clock on, is this back on our agenda, right? Because it was just arbitrarily removed, like, we don't have to talk to you, we don't have to, you know what I mean? And I knew that was a pain point, and I was like, okay, we can't have that. So working sort of behind the scenes, I was like, what can we have? And so it's like, well, if you rename it this, you can do whatever you want. Well, it wasn't. That's what I heard. That's not what was said.
The same thing goes.
That's what I heard.
The same thing goes if you rename how we phrase our request to the city.
Correct, referral to staff. Mm-hmm.
The referral for staff, that could have done the same thing. And I get it, because I've been through this myself, all this. Okay.
Sweet.
So I get that, but I want to make sure that also at the same time that we don't go so far down the rabbit hole that in March that everything changes or may not change.
Right.
And then that actually will cause us, but at the same time, I would then indicate this then, that at least will be, whatever the changes are or are not in March, we're better prepared.
Yes.
So I understand that, but I don't want to go so far down the rabbit hole on this as well.
100% agree.
Thank you.
Believe it or not, 100% agree. Commissioner Skiba?
Yeah, it's just a thing that the reports we were told that the reports had been given to us as a courtesy, and that they're only required to give them to those running the actual programs.
And that's not how the
And I'm
contract
like,
is written.
why are we no longer worthy of a courtesy? Or a visit? We were ghosted.
Yes, we were ghosted, yes. And one of the things that you'll notice in the, I don't know if I'm proud or embarrassed that I read all these contracts, but one of the things that you'll notice in the contract with CityNet, page 9, item, I want to say 6, it says that we are due a monthly report no later than the 5th of every month. And by we, I mean this commission. It's written in the contract. So to that sort of statement, like we give it to you out of courtesy or we don't really get it, that's not what's in the contract. So we're in a much better place now, and I wanted you all to see, like, it's not just me being arrogant, because I am, but like it's literally written in the contract and the MOUs that data X, Y, and Z is to be presented to us no later than the 5th day of the month.
And you mentioned that some people were helping you to gather the information. Are those the city clerk's office personnel or who?
It's my company.
Oh, from your company?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
I'm not proud that I made them do that, but they did. Commissioner Ball. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you Commissioner Skiba anymore?
No, that was it.
Okay, Commissioner Ball.
No, I think I'm good on this topic. Thank you for the thorough reports here. They really are very good. And I think for the past couple of years, the agendas have been a little bit thin, but, might be staff has transitioned and so forth that used to put a lot of the paperwork together. I think Kyle Officer Losterman's done a phenomenal job, given that he patrols and speaks to groups and does a million other things. So thank you very much, Officer Lostrom. But yeah, this is long overdue, and thank you very much for putting it all together, everybody.
All right. Can I have a motion to continue this to March?
I was gonna leave it with like,
It's a standing?
yeah,
Okay. All right, I'll be quiet. I agree.
we'll be good with that.
Because it now goes back into the road where we had city attorney. It's just renamed, and it was a standing.
Okay.
That meeting is after March 4th, so
Yep.
seems logical.
Mhm.
I would second it if it's on the table.
Yeah, we'll leave it. We'll leave it. I agree. No motion.
Direction by city staff, so I'm good with it.
Yep.
Okay, now, are we gonna?
Yes, it was.
Are we gonna talk about K?
Yes,
Are we, okay. good.
yes.
Thank you.
Because Kyle owes us a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
And if you notice, well, okay, we'll wait till we get to K, sorry. So are we closing J? Are we good? Okay. So item K is commission member items and future commission agenda topics. You'll notice that,
Can I make a note?
yes.
So I'm now seeing an error in the agenda. One of the documents that was intended for J5 was attached to K1. So there is one document erroneously
Okay.
under the umbrella of K1. That was a mistake, and that will be fixed for the next meeting.
Thank you.
And then additionally, sorry, in reference to requests that were made that were on this list that were removed, my intention was to provide the data under a different discussion item,
Oh,
but
yeah,
I'll
you were.
provide it now as a member item.
Okay.
The request for total citations between 2023 and 2024. The 60% increase they're talking about is 2,943 citations written in 2023 and 4,781 written in 2024.
And for the record, this was a request that we voted on, but it came up from Commissioner Wadnicki.
Correct. And then the top, I was able to, the easiest was the top 3 violations. Stop sign, speeding, and 22101D, which is failure to obey a traffic signal, which is like signs and other more unique things compared to kind of your basic stop sign, red light, individual citations. There's another inquiry made about Artesia and Ringe protected left turn implementation. The implementation was done.
That was made on
of a protected-
12/17 by Wadnicki. For the
Also,
record, but
correct,
she's not here.
Also requested by Commissioner Wodnicki. The implementation of the protected left turn was actually made in 2024. So the data I requested was basically number of collisions at that within 100 feet of that intersection. In 2023 was 8, and the number of collisions within 100 feet of that intersection in 2024 was 1. So
Definitely a decrease.
my intention is to provide those lower level requests during my discussion item. And that was also just something I forgot. This was a solid meeting.
Yeah. And and so you all know some of the emails that Officer Lostrom sent out, we were sort of checking off the list, right? So you asked about e-bikes. So we sent you all, here's the latest e-bike update. You asked about X, Y, and Z. So that's what that's what those emails are. We were sort of checking off the list. And these are the ones that remain. And item K1, VIP program presentation, so a more formal one. Officer Lostrom will be doing update from Lila Amura. Officer Lostrom is working on city council presence. That's where city manager will be coming to speak to us either February or March.
and Lila, you said?
Oh, we're waiting to hear back from Lila for when she's
Okay,
can be
okay,
scheduled.
okay.
And the discussion on juvenile delinquency, that was
That was Alan Kleinbaum.
That was Commissioner Kleinbaum, and we're going to wait for him to come before we schedule. We're going to wait till we can confirm him being here, so since it's his topic, to add it to the agenda. So now the question is, any new, based on, I know we got a lot of information tonight, but let's start with, I'm still going to call it referral to staff, but any recommendations for an agenda item for a future agenda? We'll start with Commissioner Escontrias.
None.
Commissioner Skiba.
Gosh,
We can come back.
not at this moment. no.
Okay. Commissioner Ball.
I talked to the head of Street Racing Kills, and I know it's kind of not related to what they were doing with burnouts and in the story of how that NGO formed, but I would just invite any speakers in regards to street racing, either if the city invites those speakers to share any expertise on how these form and how to mitigate them, whether they're city staff or NGO or just residents who want to share. I would love to hear from them and just expand our knowledge on how to keep this type of stuff out of our city. Thank you.
You want to make a motion? Am I so moved? Do you have someone in mind? How about this? Do you want to send a note to Officer Lostrom with contact information? We'll extend the invite, and then we'll agendize.
Yes, I would make that motion.
Okay.
Could you clarify?
I would
Watch it on
introduce you
YouTube.
to the head of Street Racing Kills to either speak on non-agenda
Street
items.
Racing Kills is an organization.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yep, that head, and I'm trying to recall her name, but I did speak with her a couple weeks ago. And just have her either visit during non-agenda items and speak on street racing and so forth, or as part of an agendized item if it's so approved by our commission. Thank you.
I see. I would go for like an official discussion item.
Discussion on.
I would make a motion for that official discussion item, and if approved, I'll put the two of you together on an email communication.
Perfect.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Cool. All right, I have that.
That's all I have, Chair.
Okay.
Thanks.
I would like a motion to invite, and you'll see it in there. I can't think of his name right now. The homeless project manager from South Bay COG to come and sort of do a presentation on how we got to functional zero, what our partnership is, because it's, I'm going to stop there. I'd like to make a motion to have the homeless project manager come to speak to us about the Redondo Beach functional zero.
Presentation on RB functional zero.
Correct. Homeless functional zero.
I'd like to second that motion unless anybody wants to modify it a little bit on the commission.
All right, so discuss before we vote. So, long story short, we were pushing for a long time to have Harbor Interfaith come and say, what is it that you're doing towards and so on. And reviewing all the contracts over time, Harbor Interfaith was phased out. We're only, to a certain degree, paying for staff. I think it's 3 people. But the rest, if you will, they are a county vendor, not a city vendor. And so the 2 vendors who are working with us with respect to homelessness are Kingdom Business, doing business as CityNet, and our partnership with South Bay COG. So having, and South Bay COG was the one who hosted the event, which brought down Holly Mitchell, et cetera, saying that we are at functional zero. I'm like, hey, can you all give us the math? How did we get to functional zero? So I'd like to have them come. So I just want to give you that background as to why I'm making that motion.
Are they the ones who added more residents to the Wilmington project?
He'll tell us. That's what he'll be able to tell us.
Sounds exciting. I second.
All right. Roll call. Or
Well, I already had a second. I just need to vote.
correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thanks.
Very good.
All right. We are 4 minutes past my bedtime. I'm gonna need a police escort. No, I'm kidding.
Are you going to allow public comment on this item?
We don't typically, but I don't have a problem with it. Sure. Hope city clerk
I
doesn't.
don't know that rule.
I
so
don't either.
be
So
honest
I'm
with you.
gonna,
Just-
I'm
I'll
gonna
have
let
to ask
you,
and
and
find
then I'll let city clerk whack her finger at me.
Okay.
Find out.
Jim Mueller, District 5. Talk about future commission agenda items. I think, and a lot of my co-residents of Redondo Beach think that a key public safety item is the proliferation of smoke shops on Artesia Boulevard and elsewhere. I understand there are about 40 vendors in Redondo Beach that sell these products. Also, we have cannabis coming.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
And so I think that there is going to be a law enforcement issue there with black marketers circulating around the licensed outlets and capturing customers before they get to the licensed thing. So I think there are going to be costs there that you should look into. And as I said before, I think it's incumbent upon you as the Public Safety Commission to really guide the council on the effects, the public safety effects of these products and of cannabis itself. And, you know, cannabis has a lot of issues that relate to public safety. The pesticide issue that has come up recently, was highlighted by the New York Times. And of course, the idea that kids can access these products, not necessarily through the stores. Now, there are several tools that can be used, and I suggest that the Safety Commission could investigate these tools. For example, exclusion zones, that the products cannot be, there cannot be an outlet in exclusion zones around schools, around other places where children might congregate or vulnerable populations might congregate. You know, the general effects in the community of this. I know that the PTA is very concerned about this, and also other groups in the community are concerned. And so as a public safety commission, I think it's incumbent upon you to take these issues very seriously. Now, there's been a lot of talk about roads and streets and intersections and all that, and I don't argue that that is a public safety issue, but I think this is also a key public safety issue that has crept into our community, kind of it's sort of sneaked in under the radar in our community. And a lot of people don't like it. It's not just me standing up here talking about it. So I suggest that you put an item on your agenda to discuss it and allow other people to speak on it. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna make a motion for a discussion on cannabis.
Can I detail that out a little bit, Chair?
Yeah.
Maybe a SWOT analysis on it, opportunities and threats. Maybe we can solve the problem, not just discuss it, but.
Okay, then let me change it to this.
Yes, sir.
Because this is what they asked for, a discussion prior to advisory action, right? Because we can discuss and then make an advisory to city council. So that's more what I mean, because that would include a SWOT analysis, that would include historical data, child safety, so forth and so on. So I'm going to make a friendly amendment and go make a motion for a discussion on cannabis prior to advisory action to city council.
I would concur. It looks like we have a speaker, Chair. But I would concur with your thought process.
Discussion.
May I make a comment?
Please.
Thanks, and I appreciate this opportunity.
I don't believe she's allowed to make a comment.
I'm not?
Well, they were discussing a
You-
topic.
You make the decision, but
Okay.
I'm advising, I don't
Please.
believe that she's allowed to make a comment.
We don't
Um,
know, so we're
yeah.
gonna just ask after this meeting and then
Thanks,
proceed the
I
proper
appreciate
way
it.
going forward.
So I want to make a comment because cannabis and smoke shops are two very separate issues. And
Right, I
they're
didn't
both
put them together. I didn't-
hugely
yeah.
important issues. The packet I left you, so I wrote the resolution on cannabis for the California State PTA. It really took there's more research in that than my dissertation for my PhD in immunology. So you can use that. The California Department of Public Health convened on October of this year a panel on high potency THC. I've given you that as well. That has all of the recommendations that anyone should take to prevent this. Redondo is in a unique position because none of the beach cities have cannabis retail outlets. None of them. They all voted the same time we did on our Measure E, which they all had identical measures. Redondo would be the only beach city. There are 36 dispensaries.
We can't have the
surrounding beach cities.
discussion now, but what we're saying is,
Yeah.
yes, that's why we were going to make two different.
I do
but
want to
go
make a
ahead.
comment on the
Okay.
smoke shops. So I don't know why Redondo Beach didn't enact the ban on them when the state ban went into effect. But I will say
Sorry,
that.
I'm going to have to stop you. I was just notified via phone that this is a Brown Act violation,
Okay.
Okay.
so we can't
Yep.
take.
Thank you for
public
your
comment.
consideration. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
Thanks. So
Apologies,
first.
but now I know,
No, yeah, so because it.
I didn't know
Because it
before.
moved into discussion.
because we've never had
Yes,
that
it
happen
mo- yeah, we
before in the
can't.
3.5 years that I've been the.
We can't have a
Commission
discussion on
liaison.
non-agenda item at, right, because this agenda is, what is the future agenda going to be? Agenda item going to be, so we can't discuss the, so.
That makes sense to me.
That's the piece,
I just didn't
yes.
really have time to think about it.
No, and that's why I cut it. I was like, well, we get into discussion. We can't do discussion, but a comment, hey, you should have them as two separate items. Fine, got it. That's what we're gonna, for the record, that's the comment we're going to accept.
I
And
would
we,
think that they
and we
can be
received and
advised that
filed.
if they have concerns, that they can either seek out us.
Yeah, you can reach out to commissioners, yeah.
Yes,
And then that way,
no more than three.
there's no
No more than
issues
three.
whatsoever. And then if there's any concerns between positive or negative, that they can understand from there.
All right, so,
Chair, can I revisit the agendized item for?
absolutely, yes. Because I didn't, it didn't, whatever, so, yes.
If Jim Mueller's statement stands as a non-Brown Act violation, I'd like to make a motion to agendize maybe in April or May, a general discussion on cannabis and smoke shops in the Redondo Beach area.
Yes. My recommendation is to have them as two separate, because one, there's an ongoing investigation, so we don't want to,
Okay.
you know what I mean? So I would go discussion on cannabis prior to advisory action as one, and then discussion on smoke shops as a secondary one, and then we go from there.
Respectively for April and May, given the capacity that we have.
Yes, because we have to address the
we have a
PV
lot.
Boulevard. Yeah, we actually have a lot to do this year. Yes. So I'm going to make two motions. One, discussion on cannabis prior to advisory action.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Opposed?
Any opposed? No, okay. So moved.
I'm going to make a motion and discussion on smoke shops.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So moved.
All right, we don't want you to get another phone call. Commissioner Escontrias, anything else from you?
No, sir.
Commissioner Skiba?
No.
Commissioner Gall?
May I make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Time?
State the time.
When it's,
Adjournment time. Could you state the adjournment
For the
time?
commission, not the council.
I thought I did that after we approved it, but okay, sure.
I mean,
9:13.
just whenever.
Okay, yes.
I didn't, that was coincidental that I did it right before. you.
Pavlovian, exactly. You're like, oh, no, yes.
No, you're okay.
Okay. Moved and, properly moved and seconded.
Yeah, all in favor? to adjourn?
Aye.
Thank you.
And that is the special meeting of the Public Safety Commission, 9:13 PM, January 23rd, 2025.
Congratulations.